talked about the high-scoring offenses in the ACAC, and one of those is Bluffton. And we're thrilled now to be joined by our next guest here on Upon Further Review, the quarterback for those Bluffton Tigers, Axton Beste, joining us tonight. Axton, thanks so much for joining us here on Upon Further Review.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, first of all, let's start with I've said it, one of the best names you'll find in Northeast Indiana. Is there a story behind the name Axton, Axton, or what is it, just something that mom and dad just heard one day and liked, or what's the deal on that? Is there any story behind that? Kind of throw you off guard, off right off the top here.
No, it's actually a good question. I've asked my dad a few times before. He was the one who came up with the name, but I have a relative, and his name is Braxton, and it was kind of a thing like where my mom was like, oh, and my dad was like, what if we just did Axton? And then mom was like, I actually like that name, and I'm sure all the other names he had, my mom quickly declined, but that one she actually liked. So that's kind of how my name began.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the last name Beste, I'm sure a lot of people have fun with that name too. It's not like a name like Kevich where you can't make sentences out of it. But anyway, but you've been exciting to watch, and Bluffton has been too. Being the quarterback for this team, and we talked about throwing the ball around. I think you guys are up over 40 points a game this season on the offensive side. Just talk about this offense and really the team as a whole. The excitement that goes into what you guys are able to do every Friday night and throwing the ball around and finding different guys that you guys have on your roster.
Yeah, I think you already mentioned it before. It's all gearing around the type of players we have and their athletic abilities. And we have an outstanding wide receiver core. We have a really good offensive line that, although they are young, they have had some experience, which in high school, an experienced line is a really good line, I think. That with a really good staff, really good concepts, I think that all is going to blend together, and it's going to make a really good, functioning offense.
Yeah. For you as a quarterback, talk about your match. You're only a junior. You were a starting quarterback as a sophomore, which is not necessarily unheard of in some of the smaller schools in the ACAC
Right.
and all of that. But talk about your growth as a quarterback. What you've worked on, particularly in the last year or so, as you've taken over control of that, the offense to get better as a quarterback.
Yeah. Being young it's really no excuse for me. But the growth that kind of came with last year to this year is just definitely and kind of a no-brainer. There's just the decision making. There is too many interceptions that I threw last year that they were all my fault, and that just comes with the big games that I wasn't really used to. But the decision making and being more calm in the pocket. Not just getting out of there as quick as possible. Just trying to use my athleticism. It's just more just letting the play evolve, letting the receivers get open, not being so anxious and making bad decisions. I think that's where my biggest growth has been for sure.
Yeah, Axton, a couple things here that I've seen on, some of your stats. Number one, I think you talked about interceptions. You've only thrown 2 this year with 14 touchdown passes. So, you seem to make that adjustment from a year ago with what you had just discussed. But one thing I find interesting about your offense is your rushing attack, because between Craig Moore and you, each one has at least 40 some odd carries, 42 for Craig, 41 for Moore, and then you have 48, and you're all over 200 plus yards on the year. How has that been working out, that there's kind of been this equal distribution of rushing the ball this season?
Yeah. Well, first of all, those two are just phenomenal running backs. I mean, their vision, their quickness, they're very well beyond their years, I believe. And sharing the ball between those two is sort of hard because they'll bust out some crazy plays, and you're like, oh, all right, well now we got to give the next best running back in the conference. So it's kind of that's sort of a challenge, but we make it work, and those two do a very good job. They work very well together. They were good in practice. It's all competitive in practice, and a lot of my yards are usually just from getting out of the pocket, using my feet, making decisions if I need to, just kind of stuff like that. But watching those two, watching Cooper and Kamel, watching those two do their thing is just really cool to see.
Watching some, I think, what would be your highlights from a year ago against Adams Central, which you guys play in a couple weeks. I think you guys have Heritage this week on the docket. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct. Yep.
What are some things are you expecting from Heritage, as they actually played a tough game against Adams Central? I believe the final was something like 7-0, if I'm not mistaken. What do you anticipate from them, Heritage, this coming Friday night?
Heritage always plays a really good game. It doesn't, even if people are saying, oh, they're not as good as last year or this year, blah, 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 they're always going to keep really competitive. And I know that the coaching staff knows that. So the preparation that is going to go into this week is going to be, this is the best Heritage team we've seen playing like ever. That's the mindset, because you can't take a team for granted. And especially not a team like Heritage. All those kids are very well coached. They've got really good kids on their side too. Lucas Weber is a phenomenal tackler, a phenomenal safety. I've been watching. I'm starting my film today for the week's preparation, and just watching him fly down the field and make tackles is something we definitely have to keep accountable for. And even though they had a tough loss to Adams Central and South Adams as well, like I said before, they always keep it competitive. They're not going to let those two losses decide how they play against us. They're going to be very well coached, and but so are we. So we're going to come back at them. We're going to be a good team. We're also going to keep it competitive and hopefully get out of there with a win.
Now, you have that at home? Is that game at home for you guys or on the road?
On the road.
Okay, because now the big one you have at home against Adams Central a week from this Friday night, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Well, I imagine that's going to be a big ticket item in Bluffton come here in a couple of weeks when you get that going as well. But, you're playing some other sports as well. I saw that Dude had some of your baseball statistical data up on the screen there for a little bit. Is that another passion of yours, baseball?
Oh, yeah, actually, it's a good question. My baseball is my passion. That's what I want to do after high school. That's what I'm really working for right now. But the top main goal is just sports after high school. I'm a competitor, so if that means a breakout game in front of a coach and all of a sudden something happens with football, then that's the direction that I'll go. But right now, I'm actually taking all the steps to become a collegiate level baseball player.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at some of your stats, 595 batting average a year ago. I saw somewhere 25 RBI, 2-0 as a pitcher with a 0.00 ERA. I mean, that's pretty cool stuff. How does you come from Bluffton, a smaller school. A lot of kids,
Right.
They play both ways on the football, and not necessarily. You don't play defense at all, do you? They stick you out there on defense?
No, they have not yet, but you never know. We'll see.
That's all right. Keep it that way, right, Coach?
That's right.
Yeah, but you play baseball. I know you played basketball, at least in middle school and things like that. The baseball and football, what if any similarities do you see that help one over the other? I mean, they're seen as quite a different in sport, but ultimately I think there's probably a lot that goes that it's compatible for you as a good baseball player or solid quarterback, football player, especially with the throwing aspect of it. What those two sports bring together to make you a better athlete?
Yeah. When people watch those two sports, it doesn't look like a lot of similarities, but as an athlete who does play both sports, there actually is a lot of things that are in common. Like, for example, I'm a catcher. everything sort of revolves around the catcher and the pitcher in the game. You know, you're thinking of every possible outcome that might happen, of where the ball's going to go, what pitch to throw, what sort of strategy, what sort of weaknesses or not weaknesses does the batter have, and how do we want to throw against him. All that stuff goes into play that some of the fans might not see, and that's the same thing with football. You know, some of the fans that go to watch the football games, all they're looking at is the football and who has it. But the players, you know, everything is taken into account. The defense, how they're set up, you know, who are their weaknesses, and where should we attack them at? You know, that's it, and all that stuff is very common in both sports, and it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to see and be a part of, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. What's it like on Friday nights down in Bluffton? You know, we got the big one with Adam Central in a couple of weeks, but I mean, the success this program, what, couple sectionals? I don't know if it's, you know, 2 in the last 3 years. What's it like on Fridays down in, is it the Tiger Den? Do they call that, or is that just the basketball?
Sure, yeah, we can call it that.
Tiger. What's Bluffton, the Tiger Den, like on Friday nights when you guys are rolling like this?
You know, our community shows out. Even when we're not rolling, our community fills the stands. The stands are packed every Friday night at home. There's people all around the fence lining up. And you know what? Something that I think is almost just as cool or even cooler is how we travel. I mean, we have an hour away games, and our visitor stands are usually packed, and some more on the sidelines. I mean,
wow.
Our parents and our the people and the peers around us, they love to see Bluffton football, and that has something to do with how we play too. Because when we go out there, we don't want to almost embarrass our parents and our fans like that. You know, we want to come out. They paid, they traveled to come here to watch us, so we're going to try and put on a show and do the best we can for them. But as far as Friday nights goes, it's awesome walking out of a locker room and seeing your whole community behind you, and you walking out there to with the refs and the other captains. It's a really cool experience, and I'm very grateful to be a part of it.
Well, absolutely. Well, it's been fun talking to you tonight, learn a little bit more about you. We've been trying to get you on for the past couple of weeks. I know schedules are crazy, but we appreciate you coming on. And we know Bluffton's been exciting to watch. You're exciting to watch. And
thank you very much.
The stats come in, and kudos to your teams too. I think, what is it? AJ is new now. The passing records, reception records, and reception total.
Receiving yards and receptions. He broke those 2 records the other night. It's very cool, very awesome. I'm very proud of him.
You're a big part of that as well, and so it's really cool to see. And I know things are going down really well down there in Bluffton. So, Axton, Beste, thanks so much for joining us tonight on Upon Further Review. Best of luck the rest of the season, and in baseball as well. And I'm sure we'll be talking more about you as the season moves on.
Absolutely. Have a good night, guys.